apply some of the nudge science that we have to deliver an experience that helps you actually detach from work and do so in a way that is net positive for you and net positive for hopefully humanity. So with that, I'm going to share a little ditty that I created for this session and to give you a sense of what we're thinking about. So if there are questions, by all means ask, or we'll see how our producers want people to ask questions. But I'm just going to go. So these people may look familiar. It may have been your experience at some point in your life. It may have been your experience earlier this morning. It may have been your experience setting up for today. Stress. We know that stress is in fact a big deal. It's a big deal at work. It's a big deal when we're not at work. And we also know that well-being matters more than ever. I'm not going to read from the slides. You all know this. You are all practitioners. But we do know that, for instance, workplace stress, the WHO identified it as a pandemic before COVID for the 21st century. And we also know that burnout is a super bad problem. And we know that sitting is a terrible problem. I don't know how many of you are sitting today, or how many of you have sit-stand desks, or just have a sit-stand experience, but we hope that you'll have an opportunity to stand up. Thank you. Thank you. That's the head. We didn't plan this. An eye strain, right? So 70% of people who work in front of a computer experience eye strain and some other form of computer vision syndrome throughout their career, or even throughout the year, including headaches, dry eyes, and blurred vision. And what is the problem of compound stress? Well, if we look at the timeline, and we say to ourselves, okay, at the beginning of the day, assuming I had a good night of sleep, my energy is pretty high. But throughout the day, I get these mental and physical resources that are taken from me. And so what that does is it moves me along the curve down into stress, possibly into burnout. And what does that give rise to? It gives rise to anxiety, depression, and potentially absenteeism. And we're not the only ones who've thought about this, of course, right? Microsoft did this research a couple of years ago where they attached a EEG cap to individuals. And they said, what happens to your brain when you overwork? If there's no break throughout the day, if you're going back to back to back to back to back, what happens? Well, it turns out that it's not a good thing. It's not healthy. In fact, it's supremely unhealthy. And yet we do it all the time. I would challenge all of you today, if you weren't at this session and you were looking at your calendars, do you say to yourself, wow, how many back-to-back meetings do I have? Or how many back-to-back meetings have I presented and organized throughout the day? Not good. And again, so it's these compounding micro moments that can give rise to that larger negative experience. Oh, and you know what? By the way, lack of movement matters too. So we know that if you're sitting all day, that's not great. If you're standing all day, that's not great either. And so there's some efficient frontier of motion that is responsible or can be irresponsible if you don't do it for, call it $3 trillion a year spent for musculoskeletal disorders for neck, back, low back, joint, and limb pain. So the importance of recovery is what I'm here to talk about. And what I'm here to talk about specifically is this idea that we all can work smarter and live a little bit better if we take these tiny atomic habits. And I'm sure everybody's here has read Atomic Habits, or if not, but the general idea, of course, is that if you get 1% better every day, even if you get 0.5% better every day, even if you get 0.1% better every day, it's still better than the alternative. And so employee experience as well, guess what? When employees are engaged, when we have people who are feeling good about themselves, everything gets better. Increased performance, lower attrition, increased revenue, a better customer experience. And again, I won't read from slide to slide to slide. You will all know this in some way, shape, or form, but there are a whole bunch of fun metrics here you can take back in other presentations for yourselves. So what have we tried to do? We've tried to create a very simple piece of software that gives people the right nudge at the right time, that has been inspired by published academic research and expert advice. Professor Allen is here somewhere on the line today. We've taken his research. We've taken research from osteopaths. We've taken research on circadian rhythms to try and build these polite on-screen nudges that improve wellness through your workday. And guess what? We all have different workday habits. This is what my day might look like, and this is what Elise's day might look like. And neither one is good or bad, they're just different. And so this little piece of software that we have, it tunes itself to the workday of each individual. I wanted to give you an example of what Smart Habits looks like a little bit, and hopefully you can see this. So we're trying to help people in those four modes of stress or those four modes of unhealthy habits throughout the day. And so for instance, for today, you might get a little nudge on your screen if you were to download and install Smart Habits, and you would get a little nudge after 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so that says, hey, you know what? Please look away from the screen, because we know that near and far field viewing is one of the big challenges associated with eye strain. Hydration nudges. Did you know that approximately 3/4 of people in the United States are chronically underhydrated, or dehydrated, as the technical term might be? And in fact, that dehydration, it's even worse in the morning, because many people, okay, you get up in the morning, oh shoot, I need to get to work, oh, I need to do my first call, don't hydrate. And in fact, overnight is when dehydration it sets the indicator for dehydration. So we have a series of nudges throughout the day, especially in the morning. Oh, here's a little bunny. Camels can go a long time without drinking, but you shouldn't. Remember to take a drink. Now, look, we can't force you to take a drink, but those little nudges are designed to give you that extra encouragement to do it, and to do so in a net positive way. See, thank you, audience. Thank you for grabbing that sip. A breathing nudge. Breathing is super important. Wow, a powerful way to relax? Try mindful breathing. And we give people a series of not 500 different ways to breathe, but more like 4 different ways to breathe. Box breathing as an example. I did for myself. I'm a big fan of Stanford University, Stanford research team, David Spiegel, Andrew Huberman. So I did a physiological sigh, a couple of them before coming on today, because I wanted to make sure that my sympathetic and my parasympathetic nervous system were back to level, that I could reduce the amount of stress in my day coming to present. Presenting is stressful, no matter what. I was a concert pianist for a period of my life, and that was stressful too. And so there are all these very simple micro ways that we can support each other in this way. And by the way, last but not least, we also have these thematic nudges. So Santa, of course, it's a little bit late. We're going to retire him in February, but these character-driven nudges inspire people to actually take advantage of these little breaks that we do. And there are, in fact, hundreds of nudges. And each nudge itself are designed to encourage a very specific behavior to get you out of your head, to get you out of your computer, even if it's only for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. And oh, by the way, yeah, there's a dashboard. Of course, we need to have a dashboard, a simple way to understand your habits, where you can improve. But here's where I think the rubber hits the road. Why Smart Habits? Eric, does this really work? I mean, I get that all the time whenever I talk to people and say, oh, well, okay, what is this little application? Oh, is it gonna be intrusive? Is it gonna be Big Brother? And I say, no, this isn't Big Brother watching you. This is Big Mother nudging you. And it's encouraging you to get out of the house or get out of your desk for these little micro moments. And the power of recovery is really strong. With these nudges that we do every day, the idea is that, yeah, I don't think we're going to get you back to 100%. Like, I'll be honest, it's okay. You're not going to start the day at 100% and end your day at 100%. But the ability to give you these little nudges throughout the day is where the opportunity lies for us. And it's an opportunity, again, for Elise to go from the start of her day at the tippy top to the end of her day. Okay, maybe, she's not at 100%, but she's not at that stress line. And she's certainly not at that burnout line. And what we've done I want to prove this to you. I don't want to show you and just tell you. I want to prove it to you. Is what we do before anybody downloads and uses the application. We try to establish this baseline behavior. We ask 3 questions. How satisfied are you with your typical workday? While at work, how do you feel about your personal wellness? And oh, by the way, in the past 3 days at work, have you done any of the following? Have you done any of the examples of what I described before? Work in a stand-up position, rest your eyes, hydrate, practice mindful breathing, and stretch during your day. And then after people have used the application for a minimum of 100 days, and this application has now been live in beta, call it perpetual beta for all software, for a year, you need to have a minimum of 100 days of usage in the application and then we ping you, of course, with a survey. And in that survey, we ask a bunch of questions, but a lot of the questions that we ask are going back to the baseline of what we asked before. And so right now in progress, results of our 100-day survey, NPS of a 62, which is pretty good for software. I would call that pretty much best in class. Ease of use, 100% of people who use SmartHabits find it easy to use. 100% of people will continue to use SmartHabits, and 96% of people report that they use it daily or weekly. But going back to the beginning, this is what we're seeing right now in terms of growth over baseline. So workday satisfaction, 16% improvement. Personal wellness, 18% improvement. Practicing mindful breathing, 490% improvement over baseline. So again, these are small habits that can have a big impact on how you live and work well. Coming to the end, user feedback. We have tons of feedback. I have paragraphs and paragraphs of feedback. The one I like to highlight is the one in the upper left. And this one I will actually read from the slide. It's like the best friend that sees you when you're tired and needs a break and reminds you to do so, even if others might not see it and you feel as if nobody cares if you're tired or not, but SmartHabits cares. This is especially true in these hybrid environments where sometimes we're at work, sometimes we're at home, sometimes we're in between, and we don't have our colleagues who can come necessarily next to us and say, man, Eric, wow, looks like you've had a really shitty day. Anything I could do to help? Can I get you a coffee? Can I get you a tea? Can I get you a back rub? Can I get you something? So SmartHabits is a great way for you to have this workplace companion who cares about you as an individual and gives you nudges throughout your day to help you adopt these healthy habits. So in conclusion, what are we here for? Like at Logitech, we're trying to unlock better ways for people to work, all people in all spaces. And our aspiration is to be the operating system of the workplace. And part of being that operating system of the workplace is giving people an opportunity to detach and disengage in a way that is net positive for them, healthy for them, and healthy for the planet. So my ask of everybody today is that you join the regeneration revolution right now. And it is available to everybody, smarthabits.logitech.com. So during one of these breaks, I will encourage you to give it a shot. It's free, there's no cost. And the value we think we bring to each individual, again, my day is different from Elise, which will be different from Andreas, which will be different from Keith's, which will be different from Eileen's, which will be different from Marta's. Our goal is to give this experience that is unique to each individual and powerful for all. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right. Can you hear us yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Eric. That was, we really appreciate your sponsorship. And I actually am a SmartHabits user. So my day is in fact better. And I appreciate as a meeting person, I've had stuff on my computer forever that's been about like, hey, stand up, hey, take a break. And it has always interrupted me in the middle of meetings, which means, of course, that I turn it off. And because these bunnies only come out when I'm not in meetings, I've actually used them. So I really appreciate that part of it.